Hey, what is going on, comic book familia? We have a special live show for you today. But before we go any further, I can't do these videos. I would say, or I won't do these videos without Peter, as far as interviews are concerned. How's it going, Peter?
Not bad at all, mate. Not bad at all. I was very excited when you asked us to do this. So, yeah, looking forward to getting into some good chat. And I know our guest tonight is a bit of a Transformers fan, so that's right up my street. So, looking forward to delve deep into that.
So before we bring him on, I just want to say how I met him. I believe it was at WonderCon or EmeraldCon. You know how we always go through Artist Alley. So I'm walking through Artist Alley, and I didn't know Livio before that, obviously, and I seen his where he was at, and I stopped because I seen this IG88, and I said, "Dang, that looks so good." I wasn't sure if it was just like a picture of IG88, like a photograph. It was so good. So I stopped and I started talking to Livio, and of course I had a commission done by him, and I've done at least 5 or 6 commissions from him, and I have some of them here I'm going to show in a minute. But let's get him on. Livio, how's it going?
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on our channels. Yeah,
my pleasure.
Yeah, this is a first for us. We're broadcasting on both of our YouTube channels at once.
Oh, very cool. Nice.
We weren't sure how it would work or if it would work, but it looks like it's working so far.
So far, yeah.
It's working.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice
it's working.
Yeah. So before we start asking you questions a little bit about yourself, I want to show some quick graded books that I had done from you throughout the years. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me see if I can make myself here.
Efren's always got loads of great sketch covers and things where we struggle to get them over here in the UK. Man.
Sentinels that he did for me.
Efren likes to make me jealous as well. He likes to just rub my nose in it. That's stunning. Absolutely stunning. Do you colour them yourself as well when you're doing them?
I do, yeah.
Because quite often when I pick up commissions at conventions and things, it's quite often the black and white. They don't actually colour them at the time. So it's great that you colour them as well.
Yeah. It depends on the artist. I know a lot of guys prefer black and white. I like the color. I like adding that.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
This IG88. This is not the one that I seen at his booth, but I said I had to have one of these.
Yeah. Oh man, you gotta send me some scans of those. I haven't seen those in a while now.
And I got 2 more. This is Peter. You're gonna love this one. I think I showed this to you before. It's the Destroyer.
Oh, yeah.
Destroyer.
Yeah.
Nice. I
didn't know you had that one, Efren. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't show it to you before.
Yeah.
And this is the most recent one that I had at WonderCon when I seen Livio. And Livio, I got this back already in less than about 10 days. It was sent back to me already. It's the Iron Man one.
Oh, nice. Wow, that's quick from CGC. Yeah.
That's spectacular.
Yeah. So those are the ones that some of the few that I got from him.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal work.
Thank you.
But let's see. Oh, Peter, you want to handle the comments? See if we got.
Yeah, sure, mate. We've got our bestest power. We've got good old Fuzzy Dunlop. Nice to see you, Fuzzy. I hope you're well, my friend. And we've got the Killer Comic Show. So he's such a nice guy and a great guest to have. Fantastic.
Well, thank you.
So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Nice.
So let's get out anybody that's viewing it right now. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and hopefully Livio will be able to answer them. But let's get forward with our questions. So here's my first question. When did you realize you wanted to be an artist?
Pretty early on. I mean, I was drawing a lot as a kid, like I think a lot of kids do. And I just really enjoyed it. And I never got tired of doing it. So that was always the hope, is that you could make a living doing it, And I think my parents were like, well, he's not spending enough time outside. And I'm like, well, I'm just really enjoying, drawing. And yeah, and I think they never really questioned it. I knew I didn't know exactly if it would be comic books. I kind of hoped it would be, but I didn't know if you could make a living doing that. So I ended up going to school later for concept art and illustration. I thought I would be in-house at like a video game company maybe and do comics on the side. And then ironically, I got hired by Jim Lee at Wildstorm to be a concept artist, which was kind of funny because all roads led back to comics.
Yeah. But, yeah. So were you a comic book reader at the time then? When you started drawing, were you big into comics back then?
Yeah, definitely. Like the big stuff for me, the era I was like an late 80s kid. So like the first Ninja Turtles run, Kevin Eastman, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, their Marvel stuff. That was really my era of comics. Like I was 10 in 1990. So when comics were really exploding and Image was rising and, it was a different market than it is today. That was my era.
Yeah. Fantastic. Everyone, just before we move on to the next question, we've got a few comments here. We've got Andy from Perpetual Comics. He's having a bit of a pop at me there. What's happening, folks? I'm just here to listen to Peter trying to pronounce Livio Ramondelli. Was that right? Was that near?
Good.
Was
Yeah,
that?
that's good.
Yeah, I have a bit of it. I can't normally say names very well. Much love from the Scottish one on the Killer Comics Show. Killer Comics Show is a fantastic channel over here in the UK. It's well worth checking out. Nice. And Fuzzy is just saying he saw your Fuzzy's a massive Mr. Freeze fan. Nice. He saw your Mr. Freeze print today. Tremendous talent. Great to see.
Oh, thank you. I love Mr. Freeze too. Yeah.
And we will have some slides too. We're going to show Livio's work. I'm sure you just don't want to see my face and Peter's face the whole time. So we will have some slides pretty soon. All right, Peter, you ready for the second question?
Yeah, sure. And what you'll find is that Efren's kind of asked a lot of the technical questions, whereas mine's more nerdy geek based.
Okay.
So Efren, have you got the next question there?
Yeah, you're up.
Okay, so I know you're a big fan of Transformers. I am as well. I'm a massive fan of Transformers, loving the current Daniel Warren Johnson series. And I know you worked an awful lot on the IDW line a little while ago. Who's your favourite to draw and why?
It's a good question. I mean, I still got to say Optimus Prime. That character meant so much to me as a kid and continues to mean so much to me today. I felt very honored to get to work on that character, specifically him. Yeah. But then my next favorites are all Decepticons. It's like Soundwave, Devastator, Shockwave. Those are my guys. I tend to like the more armored, kind of hardcore characters.
Yeah,
yeah.
Very cool. Have you seen the Transformers 1 trailer?
I'm about to watch that as soon as we're done here. I saw a clip of it, but yeah, I'm excited.
It's interesting. It's interesting. We've also got Canadian Survivalists in the chat. Nice to see you, Canadian. Hope you are well. So just as a side to that, is there any character from the Transformers universe that you see and you think, oh God, I don't want to draw that one. That's going to be complex or that's going to be challenging?
There's a couple. There's it's if you were doing like a one-off sketch cover or something, like a commission, basically every character is fun and cool to do. If you're doing a sequential comic book where you're illustrating pages, characters that have wings are hard because they block everyone around them. So if you have a conversation with Starscream and like 3 other characters, the positioning of that is surprisingly difficult. I think people don't really realize, or if you have characters walking down a hallway and they each have antenna and tails, and there's a lot of figuring out the math of that I think kind of looks invisible, but is difficult.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Up next with my second question: has anyone influenced you as an artist?
Oh, there's a million. I mean, there's Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Alex Ross. When I was in high school, that was the first guy that I thought I might color my own work because I saw how much he was using color. It wasn't just black and white, that how much he contributed to that kind of the atmosphere. And then I'm a huge fan of Ryan Church and Eric Tiemens, who were the concept art supervisors on the prequel trilogy. Their digital work had a huge impact on me and how their environments really felt kind of real and interesting. And then Ridley Scott and Blade Runner, that's one of my favorite visual things ever. I learned so much from that to this day.
Spotting the Blade Runner poster in the background there.
Yeah,
thoughts on the sequel? What did you think of the sequel?
I love Denis Villeneuve. I think he's Dune 2 I thought was absolutely fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Fantastic movie. There was something about the second Blade Runner where I don't know exactly, I don't really feel like rewatching it that often, but I think it looks beautiful. And I liked it. I don't know what the issue is with me exactly.
No, I'm exactly the same. Yeah.
Have you figured out what it is about it? I can't.
No. So, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Blade Runner. And I sometimes think when you go to the sequels, I automatically go in with a bit of a negativity because it's oh, it can't beat the first one,
Yeah.
But I've watched it twice, I think. And I'm fine with that. It's not a one I would go back and revisit,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I own it and everything. I just never really feel like putting it on. And I really don't, because I love that universe. I watched the first one a lot, regularly. But
Andy from Perpetual Comics is just saying here, Infestation number 2, issue 1 cover by yourself is one of his favorites. I don't think I've seen that one. I'll have to have a look at that one.
It's been years since I've seen that. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, Peter, any comments, or should we just go on to the next question?
No, that's the only comment at the moment, mate.
Okay. All right, this is yours.
Sorry, apologies. I've got a comment from Fuzzy, and it's a good one. So we've been talking a lot on our channels about some of the current books that are out there. I'm a big fan of, like I've said, Transformers and things like that. But as Fuzzy's saying, there's some great books out there at the moment. one of our favorites is Something Epic, and also Beneath the Trees. Have you read either of those?
No, I haven't. No. What are they about?
So Something Epic is by a guy called Simon Krasinski. I don't know if you've come across his work, and it's just amazing. It's about a young lad who basically anything we imagine he can see, so he can see the imaginary world. And it's about him become what they call an epic, which is kind of being able to control the imaginary world. It's just breathtakingly beautiful book, worth checking out. Beneath the Trees. Beneath the Trees is like Sylvanian. I can't describe the art style. You'll have to check it out. It's like Sylvanian Families crossed with Dexter. Have you seen Dexter, the serial killer? Yeah. It's just the most beautiful book you'll read. It's stunning. Really, really good. Great picks, Fuzzy. Great picks. Fuzzy's saying you get as much enjoyment watching the sequel on mute. Talking about Blade Runner, it's extremely visual experience. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Sorry, my question. I have to be honest with you. I hadn't read Kill Lock until Efren mentioned we're going to be doing this, so I've blasted through the first series. I've just started the second series, and you know, one thing me and Efren will say to you is we are always very honest. We don't bullshit people. I absolutely love the Kill Lock universe. It's pulled me straight into the story. The first 6 issues I read through in a couple of hours because I couldn't put it down.
That's great. That is wonderful to hear. Thank you.
And I know Efren's the same. I don't know if I'm meant to, but I absolutely love the artisan. He's just a sadistic little prat, isn't he? He's just not a pleasant person.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love him. And I can't wait to read the second series, which I've got to read now. But tell me a little bit about Kill Lock and tell me about the inspiration behind it. Where did that come from for you?
Yeah, so basically it's a story about 4 robots who are convicted of various crimes, and they're linked together by this invisible signal. So if one of them dies, they all die. And they're from very different walks of life. You have this hardcore kind of warrior robot. You have a sadistic engineer robot. You have an alcoholic robot. And then you have an innocent kid robot. So they're very different, like characters from 4 different stories almost put together, and they have to take care of each other. So in the case of the artisan character, that one was really fun to work on because he basically is like, you can write a character with absolutely no filter at all. Yeah. And the meanest, most cruel thing, you can just have him say it. So it's very entertaining to write that character. But it's been a real labor of love. I've absolutely loved working on it, and it's great to hear that people like it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for people in the chat who haven't read it yet. I recommend you go and pick it up. But you kicked us in the gut on the second of last issue with one of the characters and what happens to them, because I just wasn't expecting that. I wasn't anticipating what would happen to the young child. Yeah. It was just brilliant. And you know what I want? I want a Transformers crossover, I have to say.
That would be interesting. Yeah. That would be...
The Artisan versus Prime, I think, would be really interesting.
That would be really interesting. Yeah.
Efren, you've read it, haven't you? What did you think?
So I was about to say, the first few pages of Kill Lock, right from the start, I mean, what happens? I go, oh my God, I was hooked like after the first 2 or 3 pages.
Oh, thank you.
Dang, you just went right at it with the artisan, if I'm pronouncing his name right.
Yeah.
He walks into a bar.
Yeah.
And
that was my idea, was like an asshole walks into a bar. He just happens to be a robot, and I just wanted to have, like, based on the first couple pages, a bit of misdirection where they look like traditional sci-fi. And then the first thing he says is so not hopefully what people expect,
Yeah. So that really grabbed me. And another part that grabbed me for this whole series was their humanity. These robots. And I kept on thinking, were they, like a backstory in my mind, I go, were they built by humans and somehow they got away from them? But they were just they've just been robots, basically, correct?
Yeah, it's an all robot civilization. There was never humans in this world. There was organic life at one point, which the sequel kind of gets into a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't people. Like, people have just never existed in this world.
But they do mention humanity throughout the series, some of the words on.
Yeah, well, I wanted them to be very human. Like, they also talk about each other like this guy or whatever, or somebody, they don't really talk like robots on purpose,
What Peter said, sorry, Peter, the kid drew at your heartstrings, by the way, So that character really got to me.
Nice.
Yeah. Just 2 quick follow-up questions. Is there going to be more in this universe? Can we expect some more down the line?
There is, yeah. I'm working on more of it now. I just it might be a little bit of a wait, but yeah, there's definitely like because I really want to. I'm making a third one that I really want to kind of deliver on it, and it happened to me on the first two. There's always a bit of writing that I'm stuck on for a while and have to fix, and it's always in the middle. There's always something that was like a problem.
Yeah.
But I like it. Then when you have the breakthroughs of writing something and you feel like you finally crack something and you like the solution, that's a wonderful feeling, even if it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah, fantastic. The only other thing that I was going to mention was, and I don't think it led there, but I kind of, when we got the artisan kind of explaining some of the background of what he'd done and how he'd set certain things up, I don't know why, but I was expecting to have a panel of him having somehow caused the accident that the labourer was involved with. Whether he opened the door or something like that, because the door shut, didn't it? Or he was drunk and he thought he'd shut the door. Yeah. I was wondering if it was going to be linked that the artisan had been involved with that as well.
No, that's interesting. I didn't think to do that. People brought up a couple of things to me. A lot of people thought the kid was hiding something, that there would be a reveal that he actually was pretty bad. That never occurred to me, but that's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Great series. I really do recommend people in the chat pick up the Kill Lock, because it is a stunning little series. 12 issues in total so far, isn't it? 6. Yeah.
So before we go any further, let's pull up some slides and we can keep on talking, but we'll show some of Livio's artwork while we're talking. Okay. Look at that. If you want to say anything about these slides, Livio, jump on in. Okay. So
sure. Yeah, these are two sketch covers. That Luke Skywalker Optimus Prime was fun. It's like getting to do the scale like that is always pretty entertaining.
Yeah. And I love the Darth Vader one. That's an awesome one too.
Yeah, we were talking before we recorded about collecting hot toys. I collect Star Wars hot toys, so I have that Vader coming.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
So I've got the Efren talking toys. I've got the Empire Strikes Back anniversary one, and I was toying with the idea of picking this one up as well, just for that head sculpt, because it's amazing.
I have the Empire one too. I was debating. I'm getting this one. I was debating with the Return of the Jedi one too. Because it has the electricity, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So Livio, shameless plug for Peter. If you're ever into toys, he does a show at least once or twice a month, just going through all the toys that are coming out. It's really good. Yeah. So
yeah, I'll give you a follow. Yeah. What's the show called?
Triple G Comics, and it's Let's Talk Toys. Once a month we do it.
All right, I'm gonna write it down.
Just shameless.
Hi, Jack.
Peter. All right, Peter. Any comments, or should we go on to the next question?
I mean, I'm all over that Prime. Do you know, I'm a massive Prime fan, as you know. So yeah, I think that's a stunning one. And crossing Star Wars and Transformers is just a dream come true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, on to the next question. This is one of mine. After you knew you wanted to be an artist, I mean, comic book, drawings, did you go straight into comic books, or do you draw professionally besides comic books?
Yeah, it was unusual. Like I went to art school and then I thought I was going to get staffed, or hope to get a job as like a concept artist for video games or movies. And ironically, Jim Lee was hiring because at the time his company Wildstorm was doing the DC Universe Online game, this giant project for Sony. And so I was hired to work on that game and do like environmental stuff. And that led me to doing comic conventions. And that was, Artist Alley and getting in that world. And then I was really, really lucky that an editor from IDW walked by and saw my Transformers prints and gave me a card. And that led me to doing Transformers for like 12 years. So it's been very lucky, very fortunate. And then, that's the story so far.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Let's take a look at another picture while we're talking here.
So good.
I stare at these all the time, man. That's when I went to Livio's booth. I was just like a kid. I was just staring at all this artwork, like wow. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm loving the Ahsoka, but I have to say the color work on the surfer coming out of Galactus's palm there is just amazing. That's that's beautiful. That's really cool.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Peter, you're up for the next question. You ready?
Yeah, sure. So,
I think we might have talked about this.
I know you're a Transformers fan, so Transformers the animated movie doesn't count because obviously that is a classic and we all love that.
Yeah.
The Michael Bay movies, what are your thoughts? And are you excited about the prospect of the recently announced G.I. Joe Transformers crossover movie?
I mean, I if it's good, I love it. Like I thought the ending to Rise of the Beast was great. I think the G.I. Joe teaser was really interesting. I do think it's kind of strange though, because it's like the only problem I have with it is like if you have Decepticons and Autobots, Cobra seems like less of a threat to me. You know, like if you have these massive war machine robots and then you have human terrorists, I don't know that there's a way to do it for sure, but that was just kind of one thing.
I'm going proper nerdy here. I'm hoping there's somehow tie in Mask into that. Do you know what I mean? If you had G.I. Joe or Cobra using the Mask vehicles. What do you think of the earlier Bay Transformers movies? Because I'm a bit of a Prime fan.
Yeah.
And in my head and in my memory of the cartoon, Prime speaks in a certain way and he acts in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel I got that with the Transformers movies. What did you think of them? Did you enjoy them?
I enjoy parts of them. I also don't like the Optimus Prime that's kind of a murderer, you know, and it even was in Rise of the Beast too. He's so vicious that I always thought Optimus Prime was kind of like Captain America, where he doesn't want to fight, but he'll kill someone if it's battle. But it's not like when Steve Rogers throws the Hydra Soldier into a propeller. I love that because he doesn't want to do that, but he just doesn't like bullies, you know. And that's
he's a soldier.
Prime. Yeah, he's a soldier. Yeah, it's like so. I don't like when Optimus Prime screams things like "Give me your face" and die, and it just doesn't, you know. But having said that, visually, there's a lot of stuff in, especially the first 2 or 3, that I like. I think Michael Bay is really underrated for how believable his sci-fi, his CGI is. I mean, I think there's stuff in that first Transformers movie that looks amazing today. You know, I mean, he really understands lighting and the highway battle in that movie. Like, there's some really, really cool stuff in it. But yeah, I think Optimus Prime is just like, I miss the heart of that character, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned earlier there that the Transformers 1 animated movie trailer has dropped today. It's worth a watch. It's really, really interesting. They broadcasted it from space, which was interesting.
That's
I don't know if you
cool.
saw that. Yeah. But yeah, it's well worth checking that one out as well.
Yeah. I mean, I hope we get more movies in general. Like I thought, you know, I'm a huge, obviously G1 fan. I think you are too. So in like Rise of the Beast, seeing more of a classic G1 design on Prime was amazing. I mean, I just loved seeing him on screen. It was great. So I hope they continue. I know they're changing it up with the Transformers 1. It's Chris Hemsworth doing the voice, right?
Oh wow.
But, it is. Yeah. It's a shame for me. We've talked about this in another show that, you know, Peter Cullen is still around. So I'm sad that they didn't use him for that movie. But yeah, as long as we're getting more Transformers content, I'm happy. I would much rather, I mean, the best Transformers content I think we've had is from Bumblebee, those first few minutes on Cybertron.
That was incredible.
You know, give us a movie of that.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
All right, before we go on to the next question, let's take a look at a couple more drawings from Livio here. Here we go, Transformers and Back to the Future. I have these books. These were awesome when they first.
Those were really fun to do. Like to actually, official Back to the Future stuff.
Yeah, that is so awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Here we go, some turtle power.
Well. Yeah, it's stunning.
Oh, I just love this.
Lando
Calrissian, so beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice. I like the Ultron.
Thank you.
Very cool. There's that Vader again.
Yeah,
stunning.
That was great. That moment's really cool. That whole scene.
Oh yeah. It for me, it kind of saved the series. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I had mixed feelings on that series too.
Yeah. How long does it take you to do a cover like that?
These ones are pretty quick. Like these are, you know, especially when we're in a comic convention, these are like several in a day easily.
Really?
You know, yeah. The stuff that's more elaborate is like full body stuff, or like that on the far right there, that Galactus and Surfer that's all full environment. That takes longer because that's, you know, full figures. It's digitally colored, you know. Yeah. But the heads are relatively easy.
All right, let's go on to the next question. I'll show some more slides in a bit. This is from me. Break down a typical day for Livio regarding when you draw or write a book.
A good question. One thing I like about being a freelancer is you can kind of flip your days. So if there's days where I'm not feeling it motivation wise, you can go do your errands or whatever during the day and then work at night. I like that flexibility.
Yeah.
My preference is to get up at like, I don't know, 8 o'clock, and then I'll work. Like I work from home, which I love because I can just put on a documentary in front of me, and it really appeals to me personally. I just, you know, have no distractions and work all day. And then usually what I'll do is I'll work on my like current paid stuff, so commissions or whatever book I'm doing. And then at the end of the day, I'll try and wind down with doing some creator owned stuff. So whether it's like a third Killock series or another book that is not necessarily on a schedule to come out yet, but that's the time I like the most, is like those hours at the end of the day where I'm just really enjoying that's my favorite part.
Nice.
So
Very cool.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
I'm spying that sound wave in the top corner as well there. That is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
Just amazing. We've got a couple of questions, Efren. Sorry, Fuzzy's just saying that he thinks the CGI in the first Transformers movie is a bit too crisp. It's not the Transformers I grew up with. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Fuzzy. For me, at times, it all melds into one sometimes.
I think the designs, yeah, like
Yeah.
I think they're sort of easier to watch at home, but I remember in the movie theater, it was hard to track what is happening sometimes because a lot of them are mostly silver, you know.
Yeah, it blends, doesn't it? It blends a bit.
Yeah.
Jack saying, how long would a piece like that Lando take, the Lando Calrissian? Because that was stunning.
Thanks. That was probably about, 5 hours or something, about like that.
5 hours, incredibly neat.
So they vary. Sometimes, especially if you have an idea, it's pretty clear. And then other times you're like, I just want to do a Lando print and I haven't, because I don't have one of him yet. And then you struggle with what the idea is, whereas some of the other ones, like there's a Vader on Hoth in the upper right there. That one I had an idea very quickly about, that I really wanted to do that shot and that angle. But yeah, it varies.
It just blows me away. I mean, obviously expert in your field, but we do a little show on my channel once a month called Geeky Art Attack, where myself and a few guys come together. We often have artists on, actually. Alex Cormack, I don't know if you're Alex.
No,
Alex is a fantastic artist. And basically, Efren challenges were, so he'll give a subject. So like 1 month we'll do amalgamations. So he'll say, what was it, like Mickey Mouse crossed with a Transformer, for instance.
Oh, that's cool.
And everybody on screen's got 5 minutes to quickly sketch something. And I've drawn like a stick figure. Do you know what I mean? And then Alex is pulling out images which you could have on a comic book cover. It's just the skill you guys have is just absolutely amazing. Jack, who's a regular watcher of that show, is asking, what do you use? Digital, paint, pencil? What's your medium?
I use all those. So if you look at what's on screen, those 3 heads in the middle are just pen and marker, drawn traditionally. The Galactus on the far right and the Darth Vader above were colored digitally. So typically my process, no matter what, is to start with pencil. So I lay everything out. Then if it's going to commission, I go straight to ink. If it's going to be a printed, comic book or one of those prints up there, I just go straight to digital coloring and I skip the inking step. But yeah, that's generally.
Peter, I talked to Livio about your show, the drawing contest one, and I sent him a link to it. So next time we do one, Livio, I'm going to send you a link. No pressure.
No, I'm down. Yeah, send me a link. I'll do it.
We give you like about 5 minutes to draw.
That sounds fun.
We say 5 minutes, but myself and our co-host that I do it with, James, usually talk for about 10 minutes. So, by that time you're drawing stuff. But it's a really fun show. So.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's a good laugh. It's a good laugh. I can't take my eyes off that Vader at the top now. I didn't spot that. That's
yeah. All right.
Yeah, stunning.
You ready for the next question?
Yeah, sure, mate.
You're up.
Okie dokie. So we talked very briefly at the start a little bit about this. I know that you're an action figure collector. I didn't realize you were as into hot toys though. But tell us a little bit, what's the latest action figure you've picked up, or what's your favorite in your collection at the moment?
Well, the latest thing I got into was the Mezco Marvel line. Have you seen those? Oh my God. I bought like 10 of those in 1 month, I think. So I bought the last one I got was the Fantastic Four set of all 4.
Yeah. I wanted that one.
It's amazing. And it's such a perfect, like the costumes that they picked for that line, or when I was a teenager, that's like my Marvel. Yeah. So the nostalgia is like over the top, but I love it. There's like 6 more of those I want right now, but that's the newest thing is, and then I have, like I said, I have the Vader from Obi-Wan series on the way from Hot Toys. I just got the Super Battle Droid from Hot Toys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Have you got any of the 3-0 Transformers?
I have an Optimus Prime.
Their Soundwave. I know you like Soundwave. Soundwave's worth picking up because you get Ravage with them, and it can actually.
I want that too. We were saying earlier, the Bumblebee designs are so good.
Yeah. Worth picking up. Good stuff. Thank you. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Peter, he should be on your toy show, not just watching it.
I know. Let's do that too. That sounds fun.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
All right. Ready for the next question? I think this is mine coming up here. How much time does it normally take for you to finish a book, and how many books can you handle working on a daily basis?
Good question. I would say generally about a month or so to finish a book. My preference is to just do 1 book at a time, but that doesn't always happen. Like for right now, I'm doing I'm basically doing 2 different creator-owned things at once. So I'm hopping back and forth. Now the good thing is you kind of get a break, so if you're getting tired, like one thing I'm doing is this World War II project. So if I get tired of drawing World War II stuff, I can move on to like sci-fi, which is this other thing. So, but yeah, generally like my preference would be to just kind of do one project and really focus on it. But schedule and a lot of reasons like doesn't always allow for that.
When you say it takes you a month to finish a book, how soon do you have to get it to the publisher? Do they have to look it over, like the editor, and come back to you, or the writer, to change things if needed?
Usually it's in steps. So you get a script. If it's something I'm not writing, right? So if it's not Killuck, if it's like Transformers, you get a script, you do a layout based on that. So really rough, shots. Then the editor and the writer can weigh in on that. Then sometimes you either send over pencils or you send over full color stuff. And then if any changes need to happen, that happens later. But generally you finish a book a couple months before it goes to print. Because they also have to solicit this stuff really far in advance. So especially covers need to be done way early on compared to, when they get shown.
Okay. Peter, you ready for your question?
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah.
All right, we're coming up. You're up.
Okay. So I told you all my questions are geeky stuff and everyone's are kind of the technical stuff of your work. You're an 80s cartoon fan. Outside of Transformers, what cartoon property would you love to take a stab at? What do you want to draw? All right.
Yeah, like Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, any 80s stuff. That really is my kind of jam. I was lucky because Transformers was my favorite of those. Yeah. So I got to work on that. But yeah, I mean, any of that stuff would be great. Yeah.
I'm always surprised Defenders of the Earth hasn't had more love. I don't know if you remember that one with Flash Gordon, Phantom.
Yeah. There was a couple to watch, like Thundercats I also liked, but not enough to. I don't really have a passion to do it now. And then there was another one of like Silverhawks, I think it was the space one.
Yeah, I never got into Silverhawks. That wasn't the one that I watched. But Turtles would be good.
Turtles would be cool. I think when we were kids too, there was so few shows that we all kind of watched everything. Yeah, kids today are different because they have so many choices. But yeah.
Very true. Very true. Cool. We've got James Keegan. Nice to see you, James. Hope you're well. James is saying, "God, that Boba Fett is gorgeous." Yeah, it's spectacular, mate.
Thank you.
Hey, up next. So, how does it work with a writer? Does he reach out to you, or does the publishing company reach out to you to start a book, or do you reach out to writers? How does that work?
It varies. So if you're working on something like Transformers, we were all sort of full-time working on it at IDW. So the writers were on it for years. The artists were on it for years. So we would just kind of work together, collaborate on it. If it's a creator-owned book, sometimes it's like you meet the writer or you reach out to them or they reach out to you. There's not really one set way. But generally with characters you're creating yourself, you sort of independently create the project, and then you pitch it. It's rare that a company will be like, well, we want to do a sci-fi book. We're going to hire you to make a sci-fi book. They generally have to agree and greenlight the pitch that you put together.
How hard is it to get into those pitches? How often are they? Because from an outside point of view, it feels like breaking into something like Marvel, DC, IDW is almost insurmountable.
It is hard because a lot of it is it's frustrating because you'd be surprised how bad people are at actually getting back to you. Like I remember I pitched something, I didn't hear back for a year.
Wow.
Which is just an email. I mean, that was like really frustrating. Like, the Killuck too. Like I pitched it to a couple different publishers before IDW, and one of them said, this has happened more than once to me, where they were like, we like this project, but it's too similar to a book that we already said we do. So even if it's a really superficial similarity, they still will turn down a book. And that's kind of hard because a lot of stories share certain templates just because that, a mystery or whatever. That's just the nature of storytelling. So if you pitch a mystery and they already have a mystery, so that stuff is hard.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at a couple more slides before we go on to the next question. I think look at this. See, this is what I mean. Just staring at this artwork, I was like, wow.
I mean, it's obscenely good, isn't it? That's that
was the first in my Star Wars series of prints I did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's so weird.
Transformers.
Outside of Prime, Soundwave's me next go-to guy.
Me too. Yeah,
they're stunning. Love
I
that.
love this Grogu Venom. I'm assuming some person. This is a commission. Somebody just asked you to do this.
Yeah, I've been working on Whatnot. I don't know if you know the
Yeah,
new
yeah.
Whatnot
Oh
app. That's
yeah.
a really popular art auction app, and Venomized stuff is really popular on that. Like a lot of people request that. So
Are you on Whatnot?
I have one. I don't really use it because I work with a company called SMZ.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but I stream with them all the time. Like I'm gonna go out there again in a couple weeks. They're based in Las Vegas, so I stream with their channel a lot.
Very cool. And that Batman, I recognize it. That's a hot toy, isn't it? There's a hot toy version of that? I think
it's his anti-freeze armor. I think.
Yeah,
From what I remember.
yeah.
That's what there's no. Yeah, I think Hot Toys did make that.
Yeah.
But,
Amazing. Ah, come on.
It's just beautiful.
no, thank you.
Gosh.
Yeah, stunning.
Thanks.
Stunning.
So I've got one more slide before we go on to the next question here.
Very cool. I love the Galactus and Surfer one.
All right, this question is mine. When you're at conventions, does it take up all your time, or do you also have time to work on your regular books that you are publishing? Because when I went to Livio, I talked to him for a while, and we talk and we see which character I want drawn on it. And besides that, you're such a nice person. And I told this to Livio.
Oh, thanks.
When you talk to an artist, they take their time to talk to you.
Yeah.
And that to me, as a person who buys stuff, that means a lot. Just chatting with you, beforehand.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy talking to people at conventions because you draw this stuff in a vacuum and you don't know who's actually seeing it or buying it. So to actually meet people it's really enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
In terms of the question, yeah, it's really conventions are pretty time consuming when you're working one because you're basically working all day long and then at night you're either tired or you're unwinding for a little bit or you're finishing commissions for the next day. So usually, unless I really have a tight deadline, I don't do any other book work during a convention. I just work the convention and then I just resume my normal work, when Monday after the show.
How many conventions do you usually do in a year?
I've cut it down a bit because I've been doing more Whatnot stuff. That's kind of been nice. But at the height, I was probably doing 20 a year.
Wow.
So I would do like 2 a month, 3 a month sometimes, that's a lot. I remember one time I did one in Japan. I flew back to Los Angeles. Then the next day I flew to Michigan to do one. Wow. And that pace is a little brutal,
Yeah.
Are you going to be at San Diego Comic-Con?
I'm going to be working Whatnot there. I'm not going to have a table this year, but I'm going to be working on site with SMZ.
Is that a vendor, SMZ?
SMZ it's on Whatnot. It's the top art account. So one of my buddies runs that. And so yeah, they'll have a presence at the floor. Last year I did it, and they actually had a Whatnot built like a installation outside the convention, so you could walk in. It was like a really cool museum.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was really cool. You can see people streaming live. So
will you be doing any commissions?
Yeah. Well, also anytime anyone watching too, if you'd like a commission, you can email me. Yeah. It doesn't have to be during a convention. I'm happy to mail it out.
Oh yeah. By the way, like I said, some of these books that I showed at the beginning, those were books that I sent directly to Livio. And there's a forum if you want to reach out to Livio on Instagram. There's a form that CGC can send to you, and you send it forward to the artist, and then he signs all the paperwork, and it can be verified as a yellow label. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of conventions, Peter has a question for you.
Yeah, just before we get to that, we'll just jump to the chat. And Efren, I get upset when you talk about San Diego Comic Con. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Have you never been?
No.
Nah.
I've never been to any.
Brace yourself. It is not an easy one to do.
No, I've never been to any US con. I'm desperate to get over to the States and do a con because I was over here just aren't comparable. I don't think to what Efren describes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to do San Diego or New York Comic Con or one of those.
Yeah.
James Keegan's asking, is there a franchise you haven't worked on that you'd love to?
Oh, there's millions. I mean, like I'm a huge RoboCop fan. I think RoboCop that'd be really. I think you could do a cool comic. Yeah. I mean, X-Men, Batman. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, these days I'm pretty focused on my own like Killock and my own original stuff that I'm really into. But I mean, just the stuff I grew up with. Like I was a huge Spider-Man Venom fan, so to do something with that would be cool.
Very cool. It's criminal that we've not got a decent RoboCop series or film out at the moment. I didn't mind the last one. Michael Keaton was in it, so it was a winner.
Yeah.
but the original. Have you got the Hot Toy RoboCop?
Oh yeah, I have that. I have the Ed 209. Yeah.
Not got the Ed 209, but yeah, very
I
cool.
have both RoboCops. I have the one where
The
he's
new-
attacked and one where he's all battle damaged. Those are some of the best too. They're all
Yeah.
die cast metal. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the die-cast ones. The Iron Man die-cast ones are very cool as well.
Yeah, they are.
We've got Kenneth. Nice to see you, Kenneth. Thank you for joining. Jack's just absolutely astounded by your artwork. There's no way that Darth Maul took 5 hours. Good stuff. Right. So, UK convention scene. I talked to you briefly at the start there about Thought Bubble. It would be amazing to get you over to any. Have you got any plans to try and get over at some point?
I would love to. I've done some Transformers conventions in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Which I loved. You know, I love the crowd there. The people are great. I love the UK. I would love to visit more. We'll see in the future. A lot of it's just kind of the logistics of traveling that far, you know. But yeah.
I'll drop you a link after this for the Thought Bubble, because we get quite a few big. James Tinian quite often goes to that. Guys, Scott Snyder tend to get the Thought Bubble, and it's a much more. It's much smaller than you're probably used to.
Yeah.
But it's a much more intimate convention with lots of sketching, lots of artwork going on. Really worth a visit.
I did Auto Assembly was Transformers Con. Now it's TF Nation. Oh yeah, TF Nation. Yeah, like that was the same vibe where it's like really kind of. It was a smaller crowd. Everyone's in the same host hotel, and I loved it. It was a blast.
So I've never done Transformers Nation, but it's not far from me. So me and a pal are going to go and do that one, hopefully this year or next year.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Phil, I have a habit of buying people drinks when we go out. So Phil, say I'll buy you a shot.
Let's do it. That sounds
banana shot. Yeah, that's my thank you to you. Cheers. Next question from you, Efren, mate.
This is a question I just thought of. Well, this is a comment. I love all your artwork, but wouldn't you know that just your robotic figures to me just really stick out? Like I said, when I first was, I think it was at Emerald Con, I was walking by your booth, I seen an IG-88 and it just made me stop in my tracks. I mean, you do have a certain passion for robotic figures. When did you know that was, wow, I'm really good at this, not to give yourself props or anything.
Oh, thanks. I don't know. I think probably just literally watching Transformers as a kid. I remember we talked about that originally animated movie. When I saw that as a kid, it felt so real to me, the close-up of Megatron's face where it's all cracked and stuff. As a kid, that looks like you're looking at like a photograph. It's amazing, that level of detail. And that had a giant impact on me. And then, and then I think artists just eventually kind of find what they're drawn to. Like I have a lot more trouble drawing people. Like if you ask me to draw like Wonder Woman or Superman, that's much, much harder for me because it's sort of like, it's just a face, whereas guys that are really good at that, artists really good at that, I think have more trouble with robots. So I think it's kind of rare you find someone who's good at everything.
Yeah.
But,
And I think just jumping on the back of that, Efren, you're absolutely right. We're focused a lot on your artwork here and how absolutely stunning it is, and it absolutely is. But actually, you're a really, really talented writer as well, because Killlock had a lot of emotion, a lot of punch to it, some great dialogue. Funny. So you're a multi-talented chap, really, aren't you? It's it's impressive.
No, I'm just glad people liked it because that was the first thing I ever wrote, and I'm a huge studier of storytelling. Like one of my favorite things to do is to listen to audio commentaries of movies while I'm working. I just absorb that stuff like all day long. I could listen to that and like learn from those guys who've made amazing stuff. And I think just I've really enjoyed storytelling in general, like just whether it's art or writing,
Going back to Killlock really quick, what I liked is at the end of each book, you gave like the history of all the characters. I really enjoyed that because a lot of comic books don't do that. They just you just try to guess who these characters are if you don't know them. And that's one thing I really appreciated. Just want to put that in there.
Thanks. Yeah, I thought it could potentially interesting is that you kind of discover them as you go along, what their path was.
All right, I am next with this question. Do you ink or color your own books, or do you have someone to do that for you?
No, I do it myself. Yeah, there's been a couple things I've worked on where someone else colored it. I don't really love that because so much of what I do, I'm thinking of the color when I'm making the actual like layout. So it's really hard for me to just hand over something black and white and let someone else do it. I've colored other people's work and I kind of enjoy doing that more. But yeah.
Nice. All right, this is Peter's question.
Just before we go to that, we've got Phil from Phil. Kill Lock was superb, but I've yet to read Artisan's Wrath. I need to get onto it.
Nice.
Phil, I've just read Kill Lock, mate, and it was stunning. We've been talking about that earlier, but I've not read Artisan's Wrath yet. So if you want to, Phil does a lot of comic book reviews. Phil, if you want to get in touch and we'll do a review together on Artisan's Wrath, that would be cool, mate. We can do it on my monthly comic show. But yeah, lots of praise. As soon as we said we're doing this interview with you, a number of people messaged and said loved Kill Lock.
Oh, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. That means a lot.
Okay, you kind of answered this earlier on, but I got incredibly jealous when I saw some of Ephraim's work from you. And when I discovered your Transformers work, I got even more jealous. So I'm UK based. How do I get a sketch cover from you? What's the process for getting a commissioned blank cover from you?
Okay. Yeah, it's simple. You can either DM me directly on Instagram, just Livio Ramondelli, or you can email me. My email is also on there. With sketch covers, sometimes you have to send me the cover because I don't really have all of them on hand. Commissions, so just on Bristol board, I can send that to you, myself. But yeah, I can ship all over the world. So just shoot me a message. Commissions are open now if you want anything. So
brilliant. So what we'll do, we'll stick all of those links in the description of this video. If anybody wants to get in touch, please use those links. I'll definitely be getting in touch. And Ephraim, you said there's a way forward to get them CGC graded.
Yes. In years past, when I've done some commissions with Livio, there's a form. If you ask CGC, they'll email it to you, and then you forward that to Livio. And I don't remember if you sent it back to me, Livio, and I sent it to CGC, or you sent them directly to CGC.
Yeah, I can't remember. I've done it. There has been times I've sent it directly to CGC, and other times just back.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm not putting extra pressure on you, but it's an option. So.
Sure.
Okay.
Spot on.
Let me see here. I think we got 2 more questions, and after that, we'll show the rest of the slides.
Okay.
Do you have a specific character? I think that might have been asked. Do you have a specific character that you haven't drawn professionally that you would like to take on? I think you mentioned RoboCop, correct?
Yeah, RoboCop. I mean, I'm loving X-Men 97. That series has just reinvigorated my love for those characters so much. So, yeah, I mean, any of the stuff I kind of grew up on, it would be cool to take your own stab at it.
Right. Love to see your take on Invincible. He's one of my favorites at the moment.
Yeah.
Invincible versus Omni-Man battle would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Any comments, Peter, or should we just go on to the last?
No comments at the moment, mate.
Okay. He may not be able to talk about this, but you'll ask him, okay?
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of feel like, and again, I don't mean this in any disrespect, but I kind of feel like I'm just discovering you and your work. Because of Kill Lock and then because of the IDW stuff, and I'm excited to see what's I want to read more. So either what have you got out at the moment that people can read, or what's coming next that we can delve into.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I'm working on more creator-owned stuff. I can't unfortunately really talk about what it is. So sort of like there's been a lull now of me making this stuff. So then hopefully it will be either later this year or early next year get released. But there's a sci-fi World War II thing I've been working on. And then the Kill Lock universe, I'm continuing to build that out. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
So lots of good stuff coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
That was the last question, and we're almost done. But let's take a look at a couple more slides from Livio if you want to comment on them.
Okay.
Oh, here's you working.
Oh yeah, that cover was signed by Peter Cullen, Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox. That's
wow!
Crazy. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I bet you were nervous signing that one. Though.
I was. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Love it.
So this is actually, obviously, it's one book. It's the front and back cover, correct?
Yeah. That was a sketch cover. Yeah.
Very nice.
And I think we have 1 or 2 more. There's some more Transformer stuff.
Yeah, that Devastator was signed by the voice actor of the G1 Devastator.
That's stunning, the Devastator. Devastator. I've just picked up the G1 set for the Devastator. I think I got them from a toy sale.
I loved that toy back in the day. Yeah.
I think that's the last picture. Yep. So on April 30th, we're going to be doing another interview with David Pepos. Right now he's writing the devil that wears my face, and he's writing Punisher from
Cool.
Marvel Comics. So that's coming up on April 30th, guys. So that's the last one. Any other comments, Peter, before we say goodbye to everybody?
No, I just want to say a massive thank you. That's been really, really interesting. Your artwork and your writing are absolutely stunning, and I really would encourage everybody in the chat to blast your DMs with lots of requests for commissions, because your work is amazing. And as you know, as a big Transformers fan, and I know Dr. Von Hoot is in the comments there, he's a massive Transformers fan as well. I've no doubt there'll be some Transformers 1 blank covers coming your way to get some sketching on if you are able to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Totally. One more thing, folks. I know if you ever see Livio at a convention, say hi to him, because he's such a nice guy. And pricing wise, I'm not going to talk about how much everything costs, but his pricing is very fair, and I mentioned that to him, and I told him I appreciate that, as a collector, so.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great to talk to you.
Yeah. All right, guys, until next time, we'll be back probably Saturday, talking on Peter's channel, but everybody be safe and take care.
Bye.